She supposedly is involved with government. You know why? If she did that, because Putin and the group said, you know, this Trump is killing us. Why don't you say that you're involved with government so that we can go and make their life in the United States even more chaotic? Look at what's happened. Look at how these politicians have fallen for this junk. Russian collusion. Give me a break.
All right, so this Russian lawyer, Natalia Veselnitskaya, we should all go around the table and say that at least once.
I love how you totally showed me up on
Natalia Veselnitskaya. It'll be a drinking game once the Correspondents' Dinner is over. Says she's a Russian informant. One of the things that I find most interesting is this news comes out on the very day the House Intelligence Committee puts out its report, its conclusive report, the Republicans in that committee saying there is no collusion. It's as if irony has a very deft scheduler. Lauren, you know, what do you make of this development? The House Intelligence Committee, both sides, Republicans and Democrats, covering themselves in glory?
Yeah, it's huge that this came out in this way. And the idea that, you know, the president's son and his son-in-law obviously is campaign chairman in a meeting with a Russian informant is absolutely huge. And of course, you can always tell with this president what really, truly bothers him, because it's always the thing that he always brings up, sticks on, and keeps talking about again and again and again. And so we'll see how this progresses, but obviously a huge development. It took the news right out of the fact that that report to come out.
Because he thinks it undermines his win, Phil Mudd, because it all comes back. It all comes back to that. Here is what she, Natalia Veselnitskaya, said to NBC. That time I said it. She said, quote, "I'm a lawyer. I'm an informant. Since 2013, I have been actively communicating with the office of the Russian Prosecutor General, very high up in the Kremlin." What is your theory on why now? Because when she was asked that exact question 6 months ago, her answer, do you have anything to do with Putin, anything to do with the Kremlin? Do you talk to them? Her answer was, "Niet." Literally, that's all she said.
Now you're showing off your Russian.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's relevant to the investigation.
But why change her story now?
I think there is. I think the president's onto something. If I'm the Russians, I'm sitting there saying, this guy's been friendly to us. The Secretary of State hasn't been. The UN, Nikki Haley hasn't been. But the president's been pretty courteous to us for whatever it is, 15, 16 months. Past few weeks, he's been rougher. You could easily draw a conclusion that says, why did they decide now to embarrass Don Jr. more? One quick comment. Cry me a river. I don't care what her background is. If you are a federal official or a campaign official involved in a campaign and you're meeting a foreign adversary with the idea that you're going to get dirt, I don't care if she's an informant or if she's your mother-in-law, you don't meet her. I don't care about the details. Do not talk to about a Russian who's offering dirt on the campaign. Done deal. I don't care about what he's
You know, it is interesting you bring that up, Rick Wilson, because so often over the last year and a half, the agreed upon, we forget what the agreed upon facts are and how stunning in some ways the agreed upon facts are in this case. Whether or not she was an official Russian informant to a high-level Kremlin official, which she now says she was, we know that Donald Trump Jr. held a meeting because he was offered dirt on Hillary Clinton that he was told was from the Russian government because he was told the Russian government wanted to help Donald Trump. And we know that because of the emails that Donald Trump Jr. released.
Correct. And it's important, I think, to understand one thing. And Phil's exactly right. This tension's been ratcheting up a little bit because the oligarch class surrounding Putin has been put under some pressure now by these sanctions, okay? That Donald Trump had to be dragged kicking and screaming into deploying against the Russians after the overt nature of their interference in our election and a whole variety of other bad acts. But it's important to remember that the Russian oligarch class, Russian intelligence services, Russian organized crime, they're all of a piece. They're all seeking the maximum amount of leverage that they can play. And this was the kind of thing, this kind of dangle where they would go in and say, you know, we'll get you into the pool just a little bit. You'll put your toe in, then your knee, and then you're underwater, and you're beholden to the Russians. This is a classic part of their recruitment sort of methodology. This isn't, this from the outside, this doesn't look like, to me, it doesn't look like just a coincidental meeting about adoption. It looks like the Russians making a play, which they did, and we know what they were offering wasn't to talk about adoption or anything else. They wanted to talk about a trade-off for dirt on Hillary for Magnitsky relief. This was a simple quid pro quo. It's dirty as hell. There's no sane person in the world. Even Steve Bannon thought this was a bad idea. Even Steve Bannon thought it's a bad idea. That's like a gold standard of detecting bad ideas. On the pyramid of bad ideas, Steve Bannon stands at the top, buck naked, screaming, "Pay attention! This is a bad idea."
Paris, this brings this meeting, which I think even many of the attendees would admit now was a bad idea to have, right back to the fore with this information that she